Hi, I'm the Rap Critic, and I need a break from the usual rap shtick. And I think you need an introduction to a break from the usual rap shtick. I present Lupe Fiasco. Now, you've heard me talk about him a lot on this show, and for those of you who still, for some inexplicable reason, haven't checked out his music, or for those who say, hey, why not recommend more underground artists like MF Doom or A$AP Rock? Well, here's why. Lupe Fiasco is one of the very few artists in the mainstream consciousness who's actually delivering thought-provoking messages as well as crafty lyricism. But here's the problem. He's barely mainstream. Looking at his singles, if it wasn't for Show Goes On, which surprised the crap out of me by snagging him another hit, Lupe would go down in history as a one-hit wonder with Superstar. When I see someone like Lupe Fiasco teetering on the outer rings of the mainstream zeitgeist, it makes me think of other credible artists of their own day that were around but never really got a lot of mainstream attention. Until they died. Not to jinx it or anything, but I've seen it happen so many other times it's annoying. Artists who were making great content and they were relatively well noticed, but as soon as they died, then people wanted to start indisputably calling them the best there ever was and hanging their posters in their college dorms all across America. Thing is, guys like MF Doom and A$AP Rock unfortunately do not have the same chances of visibility in the world that Lupe Fiasco has, but even he is limited in his visibility due to his lack of hits or demand by the general public. But I bet you money that if the man died tomorrow, all of a sudden his albums will go platinum and radios across the country will start playing Words I Never Said endlessly, and people will be analyzing Lupe's lyrics in college courses. So let's support a good artist while they still have time to collect their royalty checks and look at one of his latest singles, Bitch Bad. Now, the word bitch as it connotates to rap music and inner city life has a very controversial dichotomy, and whereas most rappers would be content with having a meaningless club single for their album promotion, Lupe Fiasco is not most rappers. So let's look at Bitch Bad and hear how he handles the topic.
Now imagine as a shorty, maybe 5, maybe 4, riding around with his mama listening to the radio.
Now, in order for this verse to work, we're gonna have to assume that most people still actually listen to the radio, but go on.
And a song comes on, and I'm not far from being born. Doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. Now, I ain't trying to make it too complex, but let's just say shorty has an undeveloped context about the perception of women these days.
Okay, so the point of this is to tell us that in general, children have no idea how the world works. And this brings up the idea that the main source of what they perceive of the world would directly relate to what their parents do and expose them to.
His mama sings along, and this what she says. Because I'm a bad bitch, and I'm bad bitch. Something so far above average.
Now, some people may see this as trivial if it's happening in real life and not really pay attention to it, but something's happening here.
A couple of things are happening here.
Well, I mean, a couple of things are happening. Sorry.
First, he's relating the word bitch with his mama.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is...
comma.
Right, you weren't done yet. Sorry, Lupe.
And because she's relating to herself, his most important source of health and mental health, he may skew respect for dishonor.
What? He's done? You guys need to tell me when the clip is actually... Anyway. Okay, so this verse brings up a seemingly unimportant, but in actuality very strong point. The idea is that in normal conversation, or when just having fun listening to music, we tend to trivialize our language and what we say. And so when this woman, who represents a lot of young mothers listening to music today, says the word bitch in the context of a song like what he's satirizing, she probably doesn't put any weight in what it means, and isn't actually thinking of herself in the strict terms of what the rapper is implying. Instead, employing her own subtext as it relates to her being a mother who's able to do for herself and whatnot. However, parents sometimes don't realize that the little things they do can directly affect the way a kid thinks, and in this case, her referring to herself as a bitch is subliminally directing her young boy's attention on how the word bitch is to be used. A respectable word to describe a positive woman in your life. Now, when it comes to the chorus, I think it serves its purpose as a way to sum up the song.
Bitch bad, woman good, lady better, hate misunderstood.
Mostly, I like the reversal of the typically used phrase bad bitch, as it serves as a metaphor for how we as people should reverse our perception of the word in general, concluding that the word bitch is just bad in and of itself. And the problem with women saying the word bitch positively is that it's trying to save or flip a word that doesn't deserve to be flipped or saved. By incorporating the word as a positive term in female circles, it inherently promotes the continued negative usage of the word, because these rappers aren't seeing you use bitch and saying, dang, you took all the power away. No, they're thinking, yeah, she's a bitch and she just verified it by calling herself one. It sidesteps the idea that rappers need to respect you, just as long as you don't perceive it that way. This, by definition, is a misunderstanding. It needs to be treated as what it is, a negative word used to demean women and place them as subhuman and not respectable. In fact, I like the way the chorus has a sort of ranking system. The word bitch is bad. It's a label of one being subhuman, someone to be disrespected. The word woman is neutral, good but neutral, and is a label of one being simply human. I mean, by nature of having a vagina, you're a woman, but that's like the bare minimum. That's just what it is. However, he introduces the word lady, which is seen as better, placing the word lady as a definition of being above human, someone who can be seen as respectable. And just to let you know, I got this idea from a conversation I had with my friends about this song, where we came up with this distinction. And I'm fairly confident in its definition of what the song is supposed to represent. Why, you ask? Well, no reason. It's just that this little lyric website where I happened to post part of the explanation for the chorus was officially verified by Lupe Fiasco, the gout himself. I'm just saying. Now you may be asking, what makes a woman respectable and what makes her not respectable? Well, that question serves as a perfect segue into the next verse.
Now, imagine a group of little girls 9 through 12 on the internet watching videos, listening to songs by themselves. Doesn't really matter if they have parental clearance, they understand the internet better than their parents.
Good point.
Now, being the internet, the content's probably uncensored. They're young, so they're malleable and probably unmentored.
Now see, I like how he specifically sets up the point of these girls being 9 through 12. Seeing that that's the time when developmental changes are in their earliest stages, girls are probably subconsciously trying to figure out how they're supposed to act as young ladies. Unfortunately, if they watch a lot of rap and actually mainstream popular music videos in general,
a complicated combination, maybe with no relevance into their intelligence meets their favorite singer's preference. Bad bitches, bad bitches. That's all I want and all I like in life is bad bitches, bad bitches.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be dancing to this. I should be a serious critic and understand that this is a satire of the typical mainstream sound and find it funny in a way, but it's still kind of catchy, and I feel bad for dancing to it.
Now let's say that they less concerned with him and more with the video girl acquiescing to his whims. Ah, the plot thickens.
Indeed.
High heels, long hair, fat booty, slim. Reality check, I'm not tripping. They don't see a paid actress, just what makes a bad bitch.
Exactly. Because as a teenager, I remember watching music videos like Get Low and Salt Shaker, and I never really registered the idea that this is just a music video and that these girls were hired by some company to literally stand there and look pretty. In my head, I thought, wow, isn't it awesome that these guys were able to get all these hot chicks in this video? I mean, these music videos must be like documentaries into their daily life, and these chicks are just like around them all the time because of how awesome they are. I mean, it wasn't literally what I was thinking, but it kind of was. But at least for a boy, you had to be a beat producer or a rapper. You had to be able to do something to be in that cool world that they were living in. But for a girl, to be in this cool world with your favorite artist, you have to be purely an object of desire, where the only importance lies in your physical appearance. In this sense, The Bad Bitch is about female sexuality being blatantly filtered through a chauvinistic man's point of view. It doesn't show us what the female mind is truly about, and while I don't claim to be a master of female sexuality by any stretch of the imagination, I'm fairly certain we can all agree that it's not properly represented by this. Can we all agree on that? Because I know there might be a lot of things that people disagree with me on the interpretation of this song, but can we at least agree that that might not be the proper portrayal of femininity? Anyway, let's get to the third verse.
Disclaimer, this Raymer.
Raymer?
Disclaimer, this Raymer. Lupe's not using bitch as a lesson, but...
So you meant to say rhymer. You know what? The rest of the song more than makes up for this little line here, so let's get to that rest of the song.
While I was rapping, they was growing up fast. Nobody stepped in to ever slow them up. Gasp, showing up in this little world. The little boy meets one of those little girls.
So when no one ever steps up to show this girl the proper depiction of femininity, and no one ever shows this boy the proper way to address respectable women, this is what happens.
And he thinks she a bad bitch, and she thinks she a bad bitch. He thinks disrespectfully, she thinks of that sexually. She got the wrong idea. He don't wanna fuck her, he thinks she bad at being a bitch, like his mother.
And this is where those definitions in the real world clash. She calls herself a bad bitch due to the way she dresses to impress men, but he sees her as a bad bitch because she's not adhering to the respectability that his mom displayed.
Mama never dressed like that, come out the house hot mess like that, ass, titties, breasts like that, all out to impress like that.
Now here's where some people might have a problem with these lyrics. They might say, what's wrong with a girl showing some skin or expressing her sexuality? You must want every woman to be wearing neck-high sweaters and making you your dinner, huh? Lupe and that boy are just slut-shaming her. And if that's what you're thinking, you're missing a complete piece of the puzzle. The girl's representation of sexuality is based on this. Remember, she was shown this. This is her view of sexuality. That is not a fair representation. But people then assume that the opposite of that must be someone who's a complete virgin. And that's not right at all. I think Lupe is promoting a type of femininity where the having or lack of having sex isn't the main focus of who she is as a woman. It's the responsibility and respect that she commands as a lady. And yeah, sexual nature plays a part, but not a part more important than the other aspects of her femininity.
But bitch still bad to her if you say it the wrong way. But she thinks she a bitch. What a double entendre.
And that goes into a whole, well, I can say it, but you can't thing that, yeah, I think this episode's gone on long enough, so I won't even get into that. Suffice it to say, I'd give this song 6 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I can go over the limits of my own rating system. If I can have a 0, I can have a 6. What are you gonna do about it? Lupe is a challenging rapper who wants us to think and wants rap to be seen as an art form and something to be thought about and observed, not just skimmed over for their pop choruses. And as for the song specifically, I wholeheartedly agree that we need to start using inherently positive words instead of trying to save a word whose direct connotation is inherently an affront to a group of people. I mean, am I right, my nigga?